Baltimore Ravens versus the Washington football team. Instant reaction video. So here's the deal. I watched this game. This is kind of a weird one for me to watch because you coming into this, you had to assume Baltimore was going to win. Washington, Dwayne Haskins, you knew he wasn't going to be able to put up the points to beat Baltimore. But he did better than I thought they would. I mean, Washington did move the ball. I'll get into the stats in a little bit. I do want to give a shout out to Robert Griffin III for completing a pass to a Washington receiver for the first time in a few years. Unfortunately, he plays for the Ravens now. Literally, RG3, you have one job to do in that scenario. It's to not turn the ball over. What's the first thing he did? He turned the ball over. Bad throw out of his own end zone down the field. I thought Brown could have done a little bit of a better job protecting that ball. But Washington catches it, then they come down and they get their touchdown to take it from 31-10 to 31-17. This game was never really in doubt. It was never going to be in doubt. Let's just get to the stats. Lamar Jackson, here's the thing. We saw last week? Cleveland just ran through Washington. No Chase Young. You know that Baltimore has the ability to do that as well. Baltimore chose not to do that. It was almost as if Baltimore decided just to work a little bit more on the passing because maybe they had more latitude to do that because they would win. But Marquise Brown, they took some shots to him, so it was nice to see. I think they might even connected on one. I think Brown did get in the end. No, he didn't. He came this close to getting in the end zone. They were taking some deep shots. Lamar Jackson still has work to do as a downfield passer, but in a game where you're in control the entire game, you can take shots. This is a good time to work on that. Lamar Jackson was 14-21, 193 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and then on the ground as well, he had 7 carries, 53 yards for a touchdown. So that's 3 total touchdowns for Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's a fantasy football dynamo, but as we saw with the Ravens playing the Chiefs last week, there's going to be a time where Lamar Jackson's going to have to throw the ball 40 times a game and complete 30 of those for like 300, 400 yards. And we haven't seen that yet. Now, it will help to take more shots, I think, to Marquise Brown. Just keep working that stuff out. I like Devin Duvernay more on the other side than anybody else, whether it's Snead or Boykin. It would probably take some time for Duvernay to get there, but get speed on the outsides, and then you still have Mark Andrews and Boyle, and then that full complement of running backs to kind of work the middle and the intermediate part of the field. Snead is fine too, kind of running some of these crossing routes. The offense is fine. I'm just curious. I wonder if they have the juice to compete with the Kansas City. And at this point, honestly, I don't really think that they do. Defensively, of course, let me see what they did. How many times? They got 2 sacks, 3 sacks total, which I would have thought they would have gone for more. Turnovers, they generated maybe 1 or 2 turnovers that I saw. Nothing really jumps out. No interceptions and only 1 fumble recovery. So I thought Baltimore's defense was going to do better. I love them in fantasy this week, but they didn't really wow you. But then again, they would have held the Washington football team to 10 points had it not been for that late turnover. Haskins, on the other side, did better than I thought he would. No interceptions, so it was clean there. No touchdowns, of course. 32 of 45, 314 yards. He did add a rushing touchdown at the end of the game. Antonio Gibson, 13 carries, 46 yards. You knew he wasn't going to have a strong running day in terms of yards per carry. He did get in the end zone in the running game, but he also adds 4 catches for 82 yards. McLaurin, by the way, adds 10 receptions for 118 yards, but no touchdowns. And that's Washington's problem, right? They, as much as I was talking about Baltimore can put up points. I just worry about, can Baltimore catch up to a team that's ahead of them by like 2 or 3 scores in the fourth quarter? That's Baltimore's Achilles heel right now. Washington, they just can't score enough to compete with a team like Baltimore. This was never going to be a game. Washington just isn't there to compete yet. I like the defense. The defense is just fine. Yes, I know they gave up 31 points, but they also didn't have probably their best player and their rookie on the field. But they still generated some sacks, I believe. Let me get down here. Sack-wise, only 1 sack, but they also got a couple of tackles for losses, so they were in the backfield quite a bit. 2 interceptions for Kendall Fuller. That's nice. Lamar Jackson, you got to hold on to the ball a little bit better. Well, I mean, Washington's defense, I really think, is there to compete. The NFC East isn't great, as we're seeing teams just keep losing there. But Baltimore, look, they're going to be in the playoffs. We know that. Baltimore is so good on all phases, in all phases of the ball. But can they beat a Kansas City? And I would say even can they beat a Pittsburgh deep into January? I know they'll probably split in the regular season because that's what Baltimore and Pittsburgh usually do. Can they beat a Pittsburgh team if they're scoring points? Lamar Jackson, I want to see more precision from him. If you're a Ravens fan, comment below. Let me know. because I probably your reflexive response is to disagree with me. But what are you seeing out there? Do you think Lamar's that precision passer? And I'm talking down the field. I know he can work the intermediate. I know he can work the tight ends. And I know he can work 15 yards and in. But can he work 20 yards and beyond? I need to see that from Lamar Jackson to feel a little bit better. And honestly, this is stuff that Josh Allen, last year I would have had Lamar Jackson way higher than Josh Allen as a passer. This year it's flipped. Josh Allen's pushing that ball downfield more. You got to start paying a little bit more attention to Buffalo, everybody out there. And Baltimore, very, very interesting. I'm not sure if these two teams collide this season. They wouldn't, because Baltimore won the division and Buffalo finished second in the division. So I don't know if they play their divisions line up this year. I'm just not sure. But that would be a fun game, and if we don't get it in the regular season, we could get it in the playoffs. So that would be very, very intriguing. I find them to be very similar quarterbacks, run-first type quarterbacks that are developing from raw passers into downfield passers. And Allen, while Jackson is the better runner, I think Allen has taken that next step in terms of being a passer. So it'll be fun to watch. I would say that is the closer rivalry to me at this point than Baltimore and Kansas City. But, the season is young. We're only a quarter of the way through it at this point. So anyway, yeah, Ravens fans, let me know, what do you think about Lamar Jackson as a passer? I know he's phenomenal. I know he's reigning MVP. I know he went 36. Don't give me the stats. I know what his stats were from last year. I think it was 36-6 or something like that. I want to know, what does he do when he's down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, passing the ball downfield? Let me know. Give me your comments. I'd be curious to see him and hear him and whatever. But anyway, that's my instant reaction to Baltimore versus Washington. We'll catch you again. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.